Joining us now is Dr. Rommel Banlaoi, Chairman of the Philippine Institute for Peace, Violence, and Terrorism Research. Good morning, Doc, and thank you for joining us.
Yeah, good morning, Angelo, and good morning, Angela.
All right, Doc, let's get right to it. What is the impact nitong confirmation na, oo nga, yung suspects nitong sa Bondi Beach shooting ay nasa Philippines weeks before they committed these acts of terrorism?
Apparently, the Philippines is back in the radar screen of counterterrorism in the world. Before, we thought that terrorism is almost over as a result of tremendous decline of terrorist attacks in the Philippines since the aftermath of Marawi siege in 2017. And for the past 2 years, there was no recorded violent or terrorist incidents in the Philippines coming from either Abu Sayyaf group or Mauti group or remnants of the Uluya Islamiyah groups. But now we're back in the radar screen. We are in the spotlight again of terrorism issues.
So sa tingin nyo, Doc, malamang nag-train sila dito?
Well, I just received information that they were already trained in gunfighting prior to their visit to the Philippines. And they have already been radicalized before visiting the Philippines. So my hunch is that they went to the Philippines with a different agenda, and I'm sure they did not come to the Philippines just to spend vacation, just for leisure. And the mere fact that they extended their stay weekly, that means that they were negotiating or they were dealing with somebody or something, because otherwise they would not have extended their stay if we have accomplished their mission yet.
But
for me, spending 27 days without a family or relatives in any country is a long time.
That's right. Tama kayo, Doc.
Yeah.
Pero upon the investigation, ang sabi nila hindi daw po lumabas ng hotel eh.
No, I received information that they went out, but not more than 30 minutes. And then they come back again, yeah.
Yun nga po, no? So, I'm sure we're all aware of the allegations by the international community that the Philippines daw is a militant haven. Pero in a defense perspective, or yung, dahil ito naman po yung inyong alam, eksperto po kayo dito, is 3 to 4 weeks enough for a military training? Or militant training, rather?
Trained na daw sila.
As I said, they were already trained before coming to the Philippines. They were trained in other countries that is considered to be terrorist influenced country. You know, one of the countries most impacted by terrorism.
Yes.
But if you will see, prior to the Bondi attack, the Philippines already ranked 20 in the ranking of Global Terrorism Index, and that is a remarkable progress on the part of the Philippine government. It's an achievement because in the past we were ranking always in the top 10 of country in the world most impacted by terrorism, but now it's 20. And but my argument in my various publications is that while terrorist threats in the Philippines are indeed diminishing, they are not, in fact, disappearing. You know. Yeah, they have not been fully neutralized. They are still remnants hiding and on the run, but they can still wreak havoc. And the challenge for the Philippine government is to prevent them from pursuing their malevolent intentions.
I wanted to ask you, Doc, about if itong mag-ama na itong other link to a certain group, the IS, sinasabi nila, parang nag-iiba na ata ang approach nila with terms of committing acts of terrorism. Kasi dito sa Bondi Beach, namili sila ng specific religious group, no? Kasi ang gawain dati ng mga terrorist massive, walang pinipili, anybody, basta they belong to a specific country, doon sila titira. Do you see them changing their tactics right now?
Yes, because a new phase of terrorism was unleashed after the Bondi attack. Before, the Islamic State had the intention of establishing Islamic Caliphate, you know.
Yes.
But now they made a new intention, and that is very specific, anti-Semitic, anti-Jewish agenda.
Okay.
Okay. And apparently in retaliation to the state of Israel's military activities against Hamas in Gaza.
And
So that's now the new phase of terror that we are witnessing right now. And I consider that as a new wave of terrorism, okay, as a result of the Bondi attack. And that might inspire others all over the world to do similar things, because there are Jewish communities all over the world, and even in the Philippines. There are also small Jewish communities in the Philippines, and they needed to be protected.
So, Doc, should we be worried right now? Because you mentioned the new wave. I also read about it na patay na yung old ideology sa Philippines. But if there's a new wave or a new thinking that they have, could there be na they're setting up shop here? That's why itong mag-ama may meeting sila dito. The mere fact that they met or they're here, they must have met with someone and talked to someone. So that means may bagong grupo.
That's what we think. And apparently, the Bondi attack can serve as inspiration for others to follow suit. And we hope the Philippine government will prevent their sympathizers to mount similar attacks anywhere in the Philippines.
Well, ito pong watchdog na ito, itong climate conflict actions, meron po silang sinasabi na there are troubling signs and mobilization and polarization na nangyayari dito sa ating bansa, including recruiting the youth. Do we have information on that?
Yes, I agree with that. I agree with that, that though terrorist threats in the Philippines have declined, there are still emerging signs of resurgence of a new wave of violence as a result of continuing grievances of some Muslim militants dissatisfied with the implementation of the peace agreement of the Philippine government with the More Islamic Liberation Front. And also considering the fact that still half of the combatants of the More Islamic Liberation Front has not been put under the commissioning program.
But
So they are still active combatants.
But how do you think the government is handling this issue right now? Of course, there were issues denying this allegation, statement from the spokesperson of the AFP. But some people are saying, shouldn't the president also address this issue himself?
I agree with the official statement released by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and even by the National Security Council. I agree with their assessment that many of the groups right now are fragmented, and they lack central leadership that will provide them direction to mount terrorist attacks. But there are danger signs, especially the young people exposed to the nature of violence that they witness via social media against the Palestinians and Hamas in Gaza. And that is a new inspiration. That's the new wave of terrorism that I'm talking about. And we hope that this kind of wave will not affect the Philippines. That we need to shield our country against this new wave of terrorism happening in other parts of the world. That is why we need to sustain our efforts to implement our counter-terrorism agenda or policy. In fact, we have an anti-terrorism law of 2020, and we can still use that very strong law that can prevent terror attacks, and we need to sustain that effort. And we need to double up our efforts involving the communities and the local government, because they are at the front line. So we need to continue that. In fact, prior to the Bondi attack, many local governments in Basilan, in Tulu, in Tawi-Tawi, they were already declaring their municipalities terrorism-free. Yeah. And rather than a destination for terrorism, they are now declaring their municipalities as a most favored destination for tourism rather than terrorism. Okay. And we need to sustain that kind of effort. So that's why we need to pay attention to the implications of Bondi attack for Philippines.
Well, it's good you mentioned, Doc, yung mga basilan and other municipalities and cities sa area declaring themselves terrorism-free. But lastly, on my part, how important po is you mentioned we have a strong counter-terrorism law, but despite of having a strong law, if we don't secure daw our borders in that area, in the southern area, which is very porous, do you think na critical ito na we have to strengthen yung, well, as I said, yung borders natin in the southern area kasi useless din kahit anong batas meron ka kung malulusutan ka lang?
I agree that we need to strengthen our defenses on our borders, but based on my study of the 2017 Marawi siege, many of the foreign terrorist fighters went through regular immigration procedures.
Okay.
Not through the back door. Not through the back door. So I agree that we need to strengthen our defenses in our borders. But if we really want to prevent foreign terrorist fighters to come to the Philippines, we also need to strengthen our normal immigration procedures. Because 70% of the foreign terrorist fighters that participated during the 2017 Marawi siege entered the Philippines through regular immigration procedures.
Well, on my part, do you think, Prof, kung meron po bang parang security or intelligence lapses on our part, because these two, itong mag-ama na to, have stayed in our country for almost a month and without detection?
Yeah, in fact, some sectors are describing the incident as a failure of intelligence. But for me, there is no failure of intelligence. We lack intelligence. So there's no failure, but we lack intelligence, and that is why we're currently conducting investigations to gather evidences, to gather more intelligence. But prior to that, we lack intelligence, so there was no failure of intelligence. So now we are beefing up our intelligence information to have a better picture of what really happened and why they visited the Philippines, and how can we prevent this thing to happen again in the future.
Right. Oo, kasi we were talking about it yesterday also na we also found an information saying na itong anak pala was tagged in Australia years ago or months ago, if I'm not mistaken, pero parang nawala yung threat sa kanya.
Exactly sa pinag-usapan natin, we're reliant. There's no intelligence. We're reliant on another country informing us. So if we were not informed, wala tayong magagawa.
Yeah.
That's why our institute, Philippine Institute for Peace, Violence, and Terrorism Research, we don't rely on information coming from official sources. We gather our own information on the ground. That's why we generate our own database based on our independent data gathering matters. That is why every time there is an incident like the Bondi attack, I can say something because I continuously monitor situation on the ground. And in fact, the presence of the father and son in Davao City using a budget hotel reminded me of similar incident in 1995 when Ramsey Joseph used a budget hotel in Manila, the Don Josefa apartment, in order to plan the assassination of Pope John Paul II and carry out their plan to send the 11 jetliners that resulted in the 911 attack in 2001.
Well, we will continue.
So similar. It's like a deja vu to me. It's like a deja vu to me.
Yeah, that's right. Well, we'll continue to get in touch with you.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much po for your time, Dr. Rommel Banlaoi, Chairman of the Philippine Institute for Peace, Violence, and Terrorism Research.